was gonna go there. Yeah, it was gonna happen. I kicked myself.
Trying to give us a countdown here on that, so we're ready. If we can get. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner. One second. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Whenever you're ready, sir. Give us a countdown whenever you're ready. 3, 2, 1. Good. Good morning. It's 9:02, and it's March 4th. I will now call to order this meeting of the St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners. Lieutenant Tully, please call the roll.
Commissioner Saraceno?
Present.
Commissioner Jenkins-Gray?
Present.
Commissioner Ortega?
Present.
Commissioner McVeigh?
Present.
Mayor Spencer?
Present.
Commissioner Brown?
Present.
Thank you. If everyone is capable, would please stand. Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, you do that. Keep your comments first. Okay. Thank you. Again, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. Prior to moving on to our next agenda item, I just wanted to address and have a few comments with regards to some things that have come up over the last week or so. I want to address the budget. I know there's been a lot of discussions regarding it. Yesterday, Vice President Sonia Jenkins-Gray and I met with Mayor Spencer and the members of the city administration at City Hall to have a constructive discussion regarding the police department's budget. Our goal is not conflict, it's clarity. With clear information, we can work collaboratively with Mayor Spencer, which is very important to us to protect the values of city employees and to maintain the essential services that the city provides. As a city resident, I cannot tell you how important it is for me, not just a city resident, but a business owner and my fellow commissioners, how this is very important to us and it is passionate to us, and we take this very seriously. I cannot stress that enough. I want to commit that we remain transparent, accountable, and finding a responsible way for a path forward that ensures meaningful investments to hire more officers and to serve all neighborhoods, both with the city department folks as well as our valued police officers. So I just wanted to acknowledge that meeting, and I wanted to acknowledge our progress, or at least our steps to get clarity. That is the intention of us as a board, to work with clarity. On a second issue that was brought up at our last meeting, which is another passionate item that we must talk about and must reach some good decision on, or not just a decision, but just to move forward on, is we received 2 different letters, one from Mayor Spencer and one from Adolphus Pruitt regarding civilian oversight. I appreciate both of them for taking the time to engage in this important oversight and community involvement, like a community advisory board. While the Board of Police Commissioners itself is a citizen-led board, as I said earlier, we are all citizens and residents of the city of St. Louis. We recognize that public input is essential, and we are committed, again, to accountability and transparency. What I believe and what the fellow commissioners have always talked about since we've been put on this board and been appointed is to have a strong, well-trained, and well-equipped police department which was rooted in our communities that we serve. This is a service, police officers are a service culture business. And we must begin, and part of what we talked about when we first got involved in it is we have to put our listening ears on, and we believe in that. We welcome thoughtful ideas and perspectives from residents, community leaders, and stakeholders across St. Louis. This conversation is about ensuring that public safety and public trust moves forward together. I've had some very good conversations with my fellow commissioner, who is very passionate, our Vice President, Sonia Jenkins-Gray, and she has graciously stepped up as a board to navigate the creation of a community advisory board And Commissioner, I know you had a few thoughts yesterday when we talked. Would you mind sharing that?
Oh, sure, no. Yeah, ditto to everything that President Saraceno has said, with the commitment of this board, to understand the importance of some type of civilian oversight or advisory is very important. And that's why I have agreed, to work along with the board and with President Saraceno in defining what it looks like. It's clear that because of Chapter 84, that the current structure of the board, the oversight board, the way it is structured, does not align. And so we have to all work together with the community to begin to understand what that will look like going forward. But you do have the commitment of this board that we do see the importance of it, and we will move forward with that. And I thank you, Mayor Spencer, for bringing that to the board again, and President Saraceno and the rest of my fellow commissioners for understanding the importance of this, and we will make it an agenda item and we'll move forward with it.
Thank you. That was,
I'd like to add a comment if you
sure,
don't mind.
please, absolutely.
First of all, I'll thank both of you as well as the budget director for the police department for coming to our office yesterday, Lieutenant Tully, and members of my staff and my team for working to put together, to go through the rationale and the budget as we proposed a couple weeks ago and sent over to the board. And, our team is ready, willing, and continues to be collaborative, and we appreciate the dialogue that opened up yesterday, and we felt like it was constructive. While I'm grateful to hear that there's some movement on the Civilian Oversight Board, it's a bit of a, I'll say, we need to have collaboration. And I'd like some clarity on the role that Vice Chair Commissioner Jenkins-Gray is playing. I was directed in the last meeting to bring that issue to the labor management meeting, which I did last week, and was told that that was not the appropriate place to have that conversation. If we're going to have offline conversations about these important matters, I think it is incumbent upon the board to include those who brought the issues to the board. And I just asked to be a part of those conversations. I will continue to reiterate my request to be a part of those conversations as we move forward.
And thank you, Mayor, and we will be, and you will be a very
Yes.
big key to the conversation. It's just we have to get it to somebody who would be willing to chair this, so we have, again, our structure is about clarity, because as we're moving forward, there is certain there's certain gray areas that we need to get an understanding. It's not necessarily the speed in which we do it, but it's getting it accurately done proper in the right ways. And that's the direction I think we have to take. And I think moving forward, as we've done with labor management, what we've done with budget, as we've done with litigation, is put these into some type of a chairperson who can lead the discussions over the next however long it may take. And that's what we thought was to work best moving forward. So this is.
What can you just help me understand what a chairperson, what the role is? I'm not clear on what it is you're announcing here this morning.
Can I, if you don't, yeah, I think the only announcement that we're really making this morning is the commitment that the board has to move forward in some way with an advisory or an oversight, including the community, including the civilians. And so I don't think today we're really making an announcement on anything particular other than our commitment. But in the announcement, we just mentioned, because I have been involved, and not that I'm serving in the capacity of a chairperson at this moment or anything along those lines, but because I have been involved in conversations with members of the board, with our attorney, et cetera, and have a passion for ensuring that something like this is done right. We have to get it right, and we have to fall within the governance of what the statutes say now, that I will be more facilitating and coordinating how we move forward. And then at that point in time, when the board has decided on how we move forward, then we can identify a chairperson or how this committee or how this structure is going to look. We really don't know those answers right now, and I think it would be premature and set unrealistic expectations to say how it's going to look or how it's going to move forward. We're just making the announcement that we pretty much support this effort.
Is there any?
So just for clarity, the board has decided to support this initiative? Is that's something that occurred in the last week? I'm just very confused here. So do we have a resolution? Is there just a matter that the board is just announcing that the members have collectively decided to support this?
There is no resolution on the agenda, as you see.
Okay.
There is just that we, as I read in my opening statements, based on the letter that you had supported of an oversight board, and that we received from Adolphus Pruitt, there was between those two letters, there seems to be some conflict. Before we try to resolve all these things, we need to look at, again, getting clarity of what we are able to do. And I know as you as mayor, with all the agenda items you have on your plate, you would certainly be a very major part of this conversation. Commissioner Jenkins Gray had said, just because she doesn't serve on, particularly on the budget, labor, or litigation, if this would move to a committee, that she would help facilitate those conversations.
Yes.
Moving forward. That was the intention of what we're here, what that announcement was for today. Just so we know and that we're moving forward with discussions.
Yes.
Is there any? Next
I
item?
look forward to learning more.
We all do.
Definitely.
We all do. We definitely do, because there is not a lot of clarity to our next step. So let's move on to the approval of the February 25th, 2026 board minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for February 25th.
A motion by Commissioner Ortega. Do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
Second by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's move to the committee reports. Budget and Finance, Commissioner McVeigh, would you please provide the Budget and Finance and Audit Committee report?
You briefly spoke on it, President. You guys had that meeting yesterday. Our next meeting is scheduled for March the 24th at 10 a.m. I have nothing else to report at this time.
Additional reports is that we will, again, continue our valued conversations on a path forward with the mayor and their staff to get to a resolution and provide some type of a budget that will be submitted before the deadline that is April 1st. Thank you, Commissioner McVeigh. Let's move to Labor Management. Commissioner Brown, would you please provide the Labor Management Committee report?
Yes, as a board representative on the Labor Management Committee, I move to adopt the resolution to adopt modified Rule 7, replacing Rule 7 in effect as of November 4th, 2013, and Special Order 6-02. Lieutenant Tully, will you please read the resolution?
Resolution 2026-11, whereas the St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners has determined it to be in the best interest of the board to adopt the following resolution, and the revised statutes of Missouri, Chapter 84, Section 84.020 requires the board hear and determine appeals from the decisions of the Chief of Police on disciplinary matters arising in the department pursuant to Section 590.502, and at the time revised statutes of Missouri, Chapter 84, Section 84.020 was adopted, discipline and investigative procedures for commissioned and civilian employees of the police shall be regulated by Rule 7 of the Police Manual of the Police Department in effect as of November 4th, 2013, until the board adopts other investigative and disciplinary policies and procedures not consistent with revised statutes of Missouri 590.502, and the board desires to adopt other investigative and disciplinary policies and procedures as recommended and approved unanimously by the Board's Labor and Management Committee, and as amended, replacing Rule 7 in the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department's Police Manual in effect as of November 4th, 2013, attached hereto as Exhibit A. That the board approves the modified Rule 7 as amended, attached hereto, incorporated here in Exhibit A, and that the modified Rule 7 replaces Rule 7 in the department's police manual, effect as of November 4th, 2013, and that the modified Rule 7 replaces Special Order 6-02 currently in effect, and that a copy of the modified Rule 7 shall be open for public inspection.
Thank you, Lieutenant Flynn.
So, with that, I have to say, since August of '25, a lot of people have been involved in this. A lot of them are in the room, IED, FOP Ethical, there's been a lot of people. Captain McCloskey's been involved. I'm looking around, of course, Chris, you were involved, Jennifer, you've done an amazing job, and I can almost cameo almost everybody that's sitting in the audience. It's been a lot. No disrespect, I know, Major, you've been there for most of it, I know Chief, you've been there for a bit of it. A lot of the board members have been there for a bit of it. About December, we started meeting at least weekly, most of the time bi-weekly, to review each section of Rule 7. The progressive discipline chart and the board hearing procedures in Special Order 602. The committee is comprised of officers of the association, commanders, internal affairs, and HR. I apologize, I didn't mean to leave you out, because I know you were in every meeting also. Together, we spent many hours discussing and revising the investigative and disciplinary policies and procedures to comply with the Law Enforcement Officer Bill of Rights as required by Missouri statutes. The recommended version of Rule 7 before the board today reflects not only language required by statute, but also updated processes and forms, streamlined procedures, and our collaborative discussions. Our goal was to be clear and transparent so that the department employees subject to the rule know what is expected of them and understand the process of investigations and discipline going forward. You should be aware that civilian department employees are no longer covered under Rule 7 because the procedures required within the Law Enforcement Bill, Officer Bill of Rights, does not apply to them. The committee's next effort is to review proposed rule for civilian disciplinary processes. As a final note for the board, the modified Rule 7 included in your packet and recommended by the Labor Management Committee required an amendment to language in Section 7-7.021 as provided by our legal counsel. The clarifying amendment is also included in your packet. That is my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Again, I'd like to reiterate what Commissioner Brown said. I know there's been lots of hours and a collaborative effort amongst all departments, and the theme of every meeting was about having the best, most trained, well-trained, committed officers that will provide a community service to our community, and that's what everybody in the room wanted, and it was the goal of each and every conversation, that how does this put the best officer on the street to serve our community. I'm very proud of the work that each and every one of you did, because your commitment in those meetings showed by the work that you did and the time you took to get it done. I know it was a process, and it was labor intensive to all of you, so thank you very much for that work. Based on what Commissioner Brown has said, I think we need to move this to a motion.
I think we'll wait on a second.
Oh, Commissioner, you did
I
make
second.
the second by Commissioner Gray. Any discussion regarding Rule 7? Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Sorry.
you, Mr. Chair. I had the opportunity to attend the last committee hearing. I want to make note of that. I have not been able to attend all of them. I know there have been a lot of work hours going into this. It was clear to me in that meeting that the work that the committee, as well as this police staff, Colonel Bachstruck, clearly had a large amount of work going into this, through this. It was very thoughtful. It was very obvious by the amount of things that were discussed and the in-depthness with which those things were discussed just in the last meeting. I attended, as you all know, to discuss the 26th, the previously 26th item there that was part of Rule 7 that was eliminated, which was the provision which allowed for the Civilian Review Board. So I am going to raise my objection to this rule, noting that absence. And I would also, just as a matter of transparency to the public, given that there was a lot of work involved, it's not clear to me, we haven't had, those committee meetings were not recorded, so that enormous body of work over many months is not something that's clear to the public. If the board could just provide a summary of changes that were made for the public, it doesn't, I don't necessarily think it needs to be detailed, but just some communication to the public about what they can expect as far as major changes as it pertains to that very important rule, be my request to the board.
Well, I'm gonna stop a second. I'm sorry. Those meetings were open to the public.
No, they were open, certainly. No,
And
no
there
worries.
was a gentleman, he's not here now, but he attended every one, I think, from the Post-Dispatch.
Oh, I'm sure.
And he recorded
No.
it, and if there was anything that was so.
No, this isn't to imply that there was any wrongdoing or anything of that nature. I just didn't think we had any recordings of them. So as a matter of just for full transparency, Commissioner, I'm not clear on all the major changes. And so I just thought it would be helpful to just provide a summary. The rule is largely the same with these major changes. Just as a summary to the public as we're looking at adopting something that we've all classified or clarified contained a large amount of work going into it. This isn't a criticism, it's just a matter of just a request saying, if we could put together a couple of paragraphs to the public identifying kind of what that culmination looks like. The rule itself is very long, and so it'd just be helpful just to kind of understand, here's the major sweeping changes that were made, or, again, we're all familiar with what I've identified as that 26th provision there. But any other major changes,
Yeah.
I think it'd just be helpful as a matter just to the public, just to help them understand what we've
But everyone, I just want you to know, and that everyone was invited.
No doubt about it.
You were
Look, I
invited.
was
It was
invited, no, I
public.
wasn't on the committee, so this isn't,
But everybody was invited. Somebody from, I'm just saying, in the future, I would request that if we do things like this, it might be good for you to have a staff member here, just to listen and make sure that, and report back to you also.
But we can provide a summary of what the mayor is requesting, I think, but I'm gonna have
Well-
Council,
But I
Mr.
wanna-
Graville.
If you don't mind, Mayor, I didn't know if you were finished, Ty.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jesus, were you finished?
no,
I
again,
understand.
this was just a matter of saying, hey, for
Yeah.
the public who doesn't have the ability to go back and review the,
Let me try to give
transcripts or anything like
a little bit
that.
of background and summary with regards to Rule 7. So Rule 7 is the disciplinary procedural operation. And so when the General Assembly passed the House bill, they basically froze Rule 7 in time to a particular date. It took a little time to find that exact document from that date, but we found it with the chief's help. And we started on that document, and then we had to integrate the requirements of Chapter 84 and also the requirements of the Police Officer Bill of Rights and homogenize everything. One thing I want to say is half the board was labor organization representatives, half the board was chief's office appointees. I was told by multiple people, you will never get through Rule 7, there will never be agreement. One of the things I want to say is this document is how discipline, termination, all those things flow. And I think one thing that I don't think was said but needs to be said is it was approved unanimously by the body. They worked all this time and all this effort into it, and they unanimously agreed that this is the best way, discipline-wise, to move forward. And I think one of the clarifications, you may have left, Mayor, when Jerry Baumgartner, who was our civilian CALIA required person, made some clarifications about that old citizen board. That was actually never put into effect. That was in the draft document we had. It did not refer to the citizen oversight board. So it was kind of not fully baked out as an idea where it had actually ever been done. And so that was part of it as well. But as you all said earlier, it's always been an emphasis, just like HR was an emphasis, Commissioner Gray, it's going to be an emphasis moving forward. But generally speaking, it was homogenizing all these things. There was a lot of time. There were tense conversations with regards to, from time to time, where, spirited conversations about how things had been done in the past. There was a lot of, I think, healing, if you will, that happened in these committee meetings. And I do want to make one point real quick. You mentioned the Post-Dispatch reporter. The correction that is added to the motion is actually something that reporter came up was a edit we missed and said, hey, you guys might want to catch this. So even that reporter was kind of buying into what was going on in the committee. So it was a great dynamic. It was super interesting. Jennifer, I don't know if we have somebody that can speak a little bit to what we accomplished in there.
Mr. Graville, please, before we get too far, I will address the mayor's comments, but if I can, I would like to call Major Bostruk, who is very important in this whole process, because she leads the internal affairs that Chief Tracy has appointed her to do so, and was a very pivotal individual that brought it to, and she has years of experience for the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. And if you would like to have a few words, please, if, and then I do want to answer your question. Major?
I would just like to say that there was a lot of work, a lot of collaboration that was done on solidifying this rule. I believe this rule is the best document we have to move forward with understanding the need for the department to be well-trained, have its expectations clearly lined out, what the discipline is for those expectations. We worked really well with the labor organizations where they learned why we have these expectations and how important they are. And some of these expectations and the disciplines that were outlined create public trust. To me, it really does. It's about understanding what we expect of our police officers so that the community understands our rules, our regulations, and our expectations. And on that, we will build trust. That, to me, is very important. It has to be clear, defined rules and regulations. They have to be the same across the board for everyone on the department, and it's just where we believe we're going in the future of our agency. So that was my labor of love, and to make sure that we had clear expectations, build community trust, have expectations for our police officers, have a rule in place and a process in place under the Police Officers' Bill of Rights where we can have due process that is fair and timely. If we don't have a timely due process, we don't have the place or the space to give them re-instruction. You know, we have to have corrective actions to correct behavior, and that has to be timely because we don't want to repeat mistakes. So those are things that we did in this committee, and I believe we did an excellent job of doing that.
Thank you, Major.
Any questions?
I just to answer or to respond to what Mayor Spencer has requested is that we do have a statement and some things prepared to put out through the department, through our communications director, Mitch McCoy, that will help. I don't know how detailed summarize it would be, but if there are things that maybe would require more, we can certainly look on it, but we do have that prepared, and hopefully Mr. McCoy will get that out as soon as possible for what you're.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, my only ask was just to kind of
Yeah,
summarize the
summarize
major
it.
changes, just so that the public has an idea of what the rule, what the changes are. I mean, it's such a large amount of work, just to summarize them would be helpful.
Thank you. Any other discussion? We have a motion, we have a second by Commissioner Jenkins-Gray.
I only have one more thing I gotta
I'm
say.
sorry,
Thank you to the people in this room that put in the hours that they put in. It was fun to watch from the beginning, a little bit of tension to the end, the harmony. And, you know, it was just, it was a great job by everybody involved. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're at a second, and we've had our discussion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to call for a roll call vote, please. Lieutenant Tully, sorry.
Commissioner Saraceno?
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins-Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Artiga?
Aye.
Commissioner McVeigh?
Aye.
Mayor Spencer?
Present.
4 aye, 1 present, sir.
Thank you. Motion carries. Very good. Thank you. We're going to move to,
I have the next meeting for the,
sorry.
for labor management. I apologize.
That's okay.
Is on March 10th at 10 a.m. It will be our next labor management meeting.
Somebody's camera's working. That's good news.
Yeah. We
Thank
worked
you.
long and
Thank
hard
you.
on that on Rule
Thank you.
7.
Yeah, thank you for showing that. All right, we'll move to new business. We have resolutions to approve certain agreements. Mr. Sullivan, it's your turn. Will you please tell the board about each of these contracts and if there is a fiscal note to the contract that
Will do.
is presented, please?
The first one is MOU with the National Forensic Laboratory Information Systems. It's just an information sharing agreement between us and the DEA, and there's no budgetary impact at all. The second agreement is an MOU with the U.S. Department of Justice. It establishes terms and conditions for using license plate readers by the Intelligence Division, and there's no budget impact at all.
Thank you.
The third is an MOU with the FBI. It's for the hybrid task force out of the intelligence unit. It just sets up the rules and regulations for that task force and what they can do and what they can't do. No budgetary effect at all.
Thank you.
And the next one is a contract with the Missouri Highway Patrol. They reimburse the department for undercover vehicles for the narcotics unit. It's a maximum of $16,500 a year. It's all grant money, no effect on the general fund at all.
Thank you.
The next is an agreement with the FBI. It's going to allow them to use a part of room 425 for equipment storage for computers. Both parties thought it would improve communication and emergency responses between the two units. No budgetary effect at all.
Thank you.
The next agreement is with LexisNexis. It sets terms and conditions for us to use the Lima scanner system for cell phone tracking. No budgetary effect at all. The next is an agreement with, wait a minute. I got this on there twice, sorry.
Yeah.
The next is an agreement with, it'll be various college and professional sports teams. We're going to escort them from the highway, from the airport to their location for various sporting events. They're going to pay departments $75 an hour for the policemen, $16.25 an hour for use of cars. No budgetary effect. This is all be grant money also. The next is a master agreement with MoDOT. It's for highway construction worker zones. We have officers that sit on the construction sites to make sure the highway workers are safe. There's no budgetary effect. This will all be grant money also. The next is a sole source agreement with SHI. It's for use of the Gov Q&A software used by our Sunshine unit. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Sullivan
No
regarding this
budget
contract?
effect on that last.
Oh, no, it's already, I'm sorry, it was already approved in the budget. It's a general fund, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
The last one. Any other questions for Mr. Sullivan? Let's,
Thank you, sir.
thank you. Appreciate the report. Seeing no discussion or questions from Mr. Sullivan, is there a motion to approve the resolution of these certain contracts?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Brown. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jenkins-Gray. Again, asking for any discussion regarding these impacts, or these contract agreements. Seeing none, we'll call for a roll call vote.
Read the resolution first.
Oh, yeah, my apologies.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
This is Resolution 26-12. The San Luis Board of Police Commissioners has determined it to be in the best interest of the board to adopt the following resolution, and the board has reviewed certain contracts, agreements, and memorandums of understanding as it is March 4th, 2026 board meeting, and the board has approved the agreements which have been attached here to as Exhibit A and authorized the Chief of Police to execute the agreements on behalf of the San Luis Metropolitan Police Department. The agreements attached herein are incorporated herein as Exhibit A and approved by the San Luis Board of Police Commissioners, and the Chief of Police shall be authorized to execute the agreements attached hereto and incorporated herein. The undersigned commissioners have executed this resolution effective March 4th, 2026.
thank you. Now we can go for a roll call vote.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Saraceno?
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins-Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Artiga? Aye. Commissioner McVeigh?
Aye.
Mayor Spencer?
Present.
4 aye, 1 present, sir.
Thank you. Motion carries. We move to this very important, Chief Tracy, would you provide a report to our board as well as the public? Thank you for being here, and good morning, sir.
Good morning, President Saraceno, Mayor, Board Lawyer, Board Secretary, and Transition Director, and the public. I just reported out, I think, last week, so numbers really haven't changed that much, but I'll give you an update on where we are with the homicide numbers. We're at 14 at this time, as of today, 14 versus 16 last year in 2025, versus 32 in 2024, versus 28 in 2023, versus 25 in 2022, and versus 32 in 2021. So we finished the year with progress. We continue to have that progress for the good work the men and women are doing. Overall crime, that affects right from violent crime to quality of life. Part 1 UCR crimes, we're down 4% for the year. I talk about as we continue to get better and better in reducing the crime, we're going to start seeing some diminishing returns. The big hit was from 2022 to 2023, 24, and the good work that we continue to do through a CompStat methodology, executive management meetings, NIBIN, crime meetings that we continue to have in real time and in several times a week, working with our command staff that you just heard Janice Bachstruck just talk about things. If we're going to hit one more thing on Janice and Rule 7, I'm sorry, Major Bachstruck and Rule 7, you know, the biggest thing is that one of the things that I heard, and I'm going to get back to these crime statistics real quick, but the biggest thing that I heard, especially from our Police Officers Association, from the Ethical Society of Policing, was fairness and consistency. And what Rule 7 starts to do, it brings back fairness, consistency that we all agree upon. Because we don't want things to be punitive, but you certainly have to have rules in place for our men and women to do their job, corrective action in place, and then sometimes when something egregious, to be able to make sure that we don't allow it to happen again, and maybe someone doesn't belong being a police officer. Certainly that builds public trust when we make sure we have that consistency, but there's also fairness of a due process that I saw, I watched, I got reports back, and it was great that we all can come together with the Police Officers Association, Ethical Society, and then Internal Affairs and Equality Assurance and Professional Standards. And then all our commanders know and our officers know what the expectations are. It kind of went a little bit awry. We tried to bring some consistency back in, but this really solidifies it. So I'm really happy to see that we've gotten to that point, and then we all know where everyone stands, and that's a sense of fairness and consistency. So as a chief, that's exactly what I want. And this is going to help resolve some of those things. And I thank everyone for the efforts they put in, because I know making changes like that, speaking back and forth, and having those professional, spirited conversations, as you say, Commissioner Brown, those are the type of things that need to have to be done, but it was done professionally. It was done with transparency. It was done with reporters in the room, and it was done with everybody watching. And that's not an easy task in my world when you do something and take something on. And so I commend everybody to get to the point where we are. And then we got to continue to make sure that we're doing it fairly and consistently now that we're going to have these rules we're going to have rules in place that have changed from some of the rules that we used to have, and we're going back to some, and then we corrected some things that weren't, that we thought should be brought into the 2026 and current type of policing that we're in, especially with body-worn cameras. Body-worn cameras were not around when the other rules were set up, and I certainly know we came to an agreement, which is really important. So when you take a look at the homicide numbers, continue to go on that path of progress, down 4%, and you know, this is all getting done while we are critically low in personnel. Right now, we have 854 total officers, commissioned officers, which includes the 25 in the academy. We continue to get officers in, but we're still losing to attrition, natural attrition, not where the mass exodus started happening after 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. We're kind of flattening it out, but we're still losing a little bit to attrition. And I think the contract, and I want to thank the Police Officers Association, Ethical, and the people that were on that, to get that 7% raise. That goes a long way for our officers to know that they're validated to the work that they're doing. No tougher job, sorry to these other police departments in the region, but being a St. Louis Metropolitan Police Officer is a premier police department. I know that because I've been in others throughout the nation, and the work that they do is just outstanding, and I commend the ones that stay, want to continue to come into this, and then trying to bring that morale up. That's gone a long way. And then taking a look at where we got to make sure that we don't have compression when we have these raises. I think we have to make sure that the supervisors who do not get overtime, that put just as many hours in doing these type of things, they're recognized that where there's other police departments, they are actually nowhere near what other police departments have in this region, and then other major city police departments. I do my surveys and talk to other police chiefs out there, and I hope certainly as we do these contract talks, we can make sure we can bring some of the command staff back up to where they belong or somewhat closer to what the other command staffs are making throughout this region, throughout the state, and throughout the nation. And that's some of the things I hope we can accomplish as we continue our budgetary and contract talks. So with that, I'll turn it over to questions, President Saraceno, if there is any.
Mayor, any questions for the chief?
No questions for the chief, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
One of the questions I had, Chief, I know we were in a discussion and over in the budget, And we had a graph in 2012, 2011, and I know that's probably not fair to put you on this, but we were at a force of, do we have that knowledge? Yeah, I think you, well prepared, Chief.
I anticipate questions, sir.
Well prepared, Chief, thank you. Would you mind could you give us and I know some of it has been the industry, and I mean, I shouldn't say the industry, I apologize, the profession, the law enforcement profession challenges. But please.
If I'm looking at, and this is something that we presented at the end of the year.
Correct.
So when we look at this was presented at the end of the year. If you go to our end of the year report, that all the board members were here, and President Saraceno and the mayor presented when we were here, and was up on the screen. So I'm using the same line graph that we used. That's actually, I think it's up on our website, Mitch. Was it up on our website as far as? Okay, but this is out there, it's out there publicly. And one of the things that I'm looking at, this line graph, well over 1,400 police officers back in 2012, where the population really hasn't changed that much. It was a little over 300,000, and when you look at the graph, we're a little under 300,000. So we've come down, almost 500 police officers from where we were in 2012. And then we also were down, from where we were. There's a Teneo report, Commissioner Saraceno, that's out there, and I talked about it yesterday. The Regional Business Council, and these are CEOs, biggest CEOs from across the region, always want to make sure about public safety, how they can help, what they can do to assist us in recruiting. They're very, and it's great to have the community supporting the police, and what can they do to help. So we update them regularly. The transition director, Derek Winters, was on a call yesterday, as well as our board secretary, Chris Greville. And we kind of looked at, the competition and for police officers, and where our pay throughout the state is lower. And I think that's a big contributing factor, where we have compared our police officers to other city employees, and not against what other police departments and what people are doing in our profession. And this is prior to this time, Mayor. I've been former administrations, I know, and I think somewhat, and I've been in other cities, when you start to do that, we're at the lower end as a competitive police department, yet we do most of the hardest work in the region, and that it's not a dangerous job in other places, but the uniqueness of the type of policing that we do very good, it's all an inherent risk, but there's certainly pride in it, and there's economics where people go to other police departments because it's almost $20,000 more they're getting paid in other police departments. And I also take a look at Kansas City, sir. I actually look at Kansas City. I spoke to my counterpart, Chief Stacy Graves, and I wanted to understand, how is she getting 50 candidates in an academy class just recently? She started the end of last year. Now she has another class, and she has another class that's going to be, the Kansas City Police Department, Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. They're getting 50 to 60 candidates in, and that's after you got to go through a candidate pool. You just don't apply and get 50. You have to get more candidates, and we get about 25, and we have to go through almost 100 candidates just to get to 25. So they get at the candidacy, and she had told me that a few years ago, before they lifted the cap in Chapter 84 in the state, they were able to lobby to lift the cap for pay. And they were starting at $50,000 a year. They were almost like us. But now they're close to 65, almost going to $70,000 a year. And she said because of that, they were able to now start to bring people in. The economics are there. They went from the lowest paid police department to the third highest police department in the region. We were already having people come back. Over 40 officers have came back that have left. We trained. They left to other departments. So we got people coming back for the morale. But I think the economics is going to help. I think that's the last thing, is the economics to be competitive, to bring us back up to a budgeted strength that's going to make sure that we can build off these crime numbers. It'll be like on steroids. And then the other thing that she did make a point to me is that she was able to deal with the compression issue. And this is news, it's public information, that their sergeants, they top out at, I think, 115. Their lieutenants at 125. Their captains at 140. Their majors at 160. And their deputy chiefs at 180. That's right from that. So if you look at the compression issues, this is another state-controlled state-controlled, civilian locally controlled that's under the state, police department that had the same issues we had a few years ago. They addressed them, and they're at 1,200 police officers where they're budgeted at 1,400. So they're in a lot better place than we are, and it's actually working. Because I had to see what the differences are, and I certainly had to compare with a model within our state, and then take a look at that. And so that's public information. And then, as you can see here, 2012, well over 1,400 police officers, down to 854, like I talked about. You take the recruits out, that's 829 commissioned officers who are getting the job done, sir.
It's a great report, but I think we recognize recruitment and attention is to be a priority for this committee, this board, this year.
And sir, just one more thing.
Yep.
This is with almost a $10,000 to $12,000 raise in 2023. So, and then a 7% raise in 2023, at January of 2023, and a 7% raise. We're still not even at midpoint. We're still at the bottom third, still, even with these raises. So it shows how far behind we were as a police department. So I think I think at a certain point, we have to address this, because if we do not address this, we're taking care of all the other business. But the number one thing from the business community, from entertainment districts to all the neighborhoods outside the business district, they want to see more police officers. And omnipresence, we can drive crime down, but omnipresence, it gives the perception that we're safer, but we also will use these officers in a way in the systems that we're getting successes now. And I commend these men and women for executing this, the supervisors, and also our civilian professional staff. They are the back of the house that are getting the things done that help our officers to do these things on the street. I cannot forget about them, and also want to make sure that as we negotiate, we're recognizing that as well. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Please, ma'am.
Chief, I think you bring up some really excellent points on things that we know well. The pay disparity for our police department, as well as the work disparity, really work against us. As we know, and as I've been talking about, these things don't happen in isolation. One of the things that we do have that other departments don't have is a tremendously phenomenal benefits package. We pay life insurance for our officers now for life. It costs us an enormous amount of money to do that. Do you find that those benefit packages that far exceed the other departments in the region are an effective recruiting tool?
Mayor, in full disclosure, I know there are some police departments that do not have the same type of retirement plans that we have. They are very good for the region. I don't have a comparative analysis against everyone. But what I will tell you, yes, it is very good. But to recruit people, to get them on a department, when I came on 20 years old, I was not thinking I'd ever be able to retire at 20 years or even be in this profession for 4 decades now. To get individuals into this, they look exactly at the economics. They are not thinking about the very good benefits that you just mentioned, which I think is a perk, but you start to realize that when you get towards your 20, and we got to get people into the system. We got to compete now with the competitively. And just as an example, when our recruiters go out and we go to all these events, and we're competing against, it's like Army, Navy, Marines, and Air Force. They're out there and they're all competing for people. Each one has a table set up. All these other police departments, they put their salary and they start right there, and these young men and women come up and say, I'm coming to this police department because of the economics. We, in the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, cannot put that up there because it would discourage people to go look at other departments. We're full disclosure, we'll tell them what to start at. What we can offer them in this police department is, as a bigger police department, you can do so many other things than just do road work the rest of your career. You can be a detective, you can go to K-9, you can go to SWAT, you can actually do aviation, you can do juvenile, you can do so many other things with a bigger police department that we can offer, and that offsets that original thing with pay. But a young officer's not thinking about those really good retirement things that you hit on, ma'am.
When you have those tables and you put the salary out front,
Mhm.
do you have a big card that puts out front and says, we will pay for your health insurance for life.
What we do, we actually, we.
I'm just thinking, you know, these are things that really do cost a lot of money. And, you know, when we think about how to increase the salaries of our men and women who do that incredibly dangerous work, you know, we should be thinking about them holistically, because each and every salary dollar, you know, comes at a cost of other things. And, you know, we have a tremendous benefit package, and if it's not being utilized, if it's not being well received as a recruiting tool, it's something we should be thinking about. You know, just because it is so above and beyond what the rest of the region is offering, and we're not offering the competitive salaries. We're above and beyond in one area, and I just, you know, really ask us to consider how can we make sure that we do get that salary up to the regional average with a very finite budget. And that's a tough conversation. It's not an excellent one. I don't love it, but I will say that, you know, it is my goal as well. I join you and the board in wanting to see a fully staffed police department, and one that is compensated in a way that reflects the dangerous and the incredibly hard work that they do.
I thank you, Mayor, and I think that's some of the things that we do have to put up about our benefits package and about all the other things we can offer to try to offset that salary. But right now, we're still competitively with these young men and women that want to come into this profession. They're not thinking 20 years down the road. They're thinking immediately, what is the cost so I can bring that money in for my family and what I can do. So it's great. It makes great sense. I have 5 children. They're all in their 20s. One's 18. Even if I talk to my kids who trust me, they would say, "Hey, Dad, but I want to see it in my paycheck," and that's what they're looking at right now. And I tell them about benefits as well, Mayor. And it's just the world we're living in. But we will continue. That is up there about the salary and benefits we do. We try to offset it. I wish the kids will look long term. When I say kids, I'm saying young men and women look long term. But you make some valid points, Mayor.
I would think that the executives would be more for the retention side, the second pillar of our.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that, you know, once you get 5, 6, 7 years, now they're thinking about that. You know, I think it's a big piece of it. I know where the scales end, but I think we all have the same problem in private business. They don't worry about their pension, they want to buy a motorcycle. Right? So they don't care what the pension is.
Once we capture, when I say capture the officers, once we introduce them what we can offer, and I think certainly a lot of changes have happened in the last few years. There was a morale issue when I came in. There was a lot of things. Morale is something that's dynamic. It's not always going to be high every day, even if you have things going well. It goes up and down. It goes up and down. It's something fragile that you have to work on every single day. It's like public trust, community trust. You just can't mail it in. It's something you work on every single day. And these officers, over 40 officers have come back that left our profession are coming back, even in spite of that. So that shows that the morale's going up, and then possibly looking at the benefits if they went to other police departments. But once you have these officers in for several years, once they're invested, they start to see that. But it's the retention thing that you're talking about, Commissioner Brown, that I believe helps us with the retention. But it's not helping us with recruiting new officers, that nice package deal for retirement.
Well, I thank you for all that you do.
Okay.
Yes. Any other questions for Chief Tracy?
Thank you very much,
Thank you for
President. Thank
your
you.
time and your
Thank you,
report.
Mayor.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. There is no more agenda items. We can move to the announcements section of our agenda. I'll just say Lieutenant Harris was involved in these, and I want to recognize you as well for your when I was involved in the conversations, your input was valuable, so thank you as well. Thank you. And it was based on having the best men and women on the street, and I cannot tell you how proud that makes us feel, because, as I said, I believe that the police department is a service culture business, and you know, when they arrive onto a scene, whether it's an accident or whether it's a shooting or whether it's just a disturbance, they go into a situation that is unknown at the time, and to manage their way through that, having the best, well-trained, well-informed officers on the street on a daily basis is a commitment that we as a board and our whole department needs to continue to commit to as we move forward, so we can serve all of our communities throughout the city of St. Louis, everywhere of its boundaries. And that is what I've seen we've worked together very well to do to this point, and it needs to be at the forefront of everything we do moving forward. So again, thank you. Any other announcements? If none, I will move for motion for adjournment.
I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Sonia Jenkins Gray. Do we get a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner McVeigh.
Oh.
Roll call vote.
Commissioner Saraceno?
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins Gray?
Aye.
Commissioner Artiga? Aye. Commissioner McVeigh?
Aye.
Mayor Spencer?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all very much for your time.